Good afternoon, everyone. Time to wrap up another day. We've been talking, every time the market has made a new high, we talk about how tops are put in. And it's usually sometimes as long as 30 trading days before we get a correction. So right here we keep making new highs and a new high, and we have not retested this high here. So my feeling has been that until we get a retest of this top, that we don't have a shot at the high being in. And right now we're poised to go right back up there and test it. We came into today saying that stocks usually rallied into the FOMC announcements. That's certainly true. We knew from which side we wanted to trade. We could sell failure early in the session, but as the session progressed, being on the long side made more and more sense. But here's a temporary top, and here's the retest that we're looking for. And you can see that we had some pretty good selling. Didn't last long, but we had some pretty good selling in February. So we're looking for some sort of a retest plus or minus of this high here. And if we can get that, then we have a shot at maybe some sort of correction or pullback. We've also talked about 6:30. The calendar date is the end of month, quarter, and 1/2 a year. It's half the year. That's a big payday for these money managers. So there's not a lot of incentive for large institutional money managers to be banging on the market right here. So there's a lot of things that say we're going to get a retest of the high. Okay, moving on to the F1 screen, where we'll get a little better definition of what this looks like. You can see that we have this pretty good support in this 20 area right here. The low volume number is 1450. We said 25, then 1450, then this 1900 to 1904 area is where support was, and our first support level held. They did not break it. They got stops below 25, and that was about it. So, I mean, there's no reason not to think we're going to retest this 50, 55 area. I mean, we're going to close strong. That's a trading day away or a spike this afternoon. And the Fed's report is steady as she goes. They're sticking to their 2015 forecast. They've cut back 2014's. We're all used to downward revisions, but these people don't come out and say, hey, the economy looks like hell. It's going to crash, so it just doesn't happen. So we're dealing again with a very, very strong P. Structurally, there really isn't any signs of selling yet. So higher low, higher high puts us in the buy mode for tomorrow. Looking at the F2 screen to further refine that call. And I want to show you, we had a news whip right off, it went down a bunch right before it hit, and that could be news algos getting that release a little bit before we do. Sometimes very large institutions play games. They'll come in and they'll throw 1,000 at the market right before the news hits, shake things up, and they turn right around and go to the other side. It'd be nice to have that kind of money, wouldn't it? Where you could do that with impunity. So right here, we are at 45, so we've got this 45, 47 area right in here. So we're going to sell failure in the overnight session. We really like the buy side a little better to take out 45, 47. Then it's going to be 50 plus or minus. And with Government easing around the globe, G20 on the same page. China came out today and said, by golly, we're not going to have a hard landing. In fact, we're going to look at growth this year, and it's going to get stronger next year. So everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's doing the same thing. Given transparency, given liquidity and safety of money, we are the least bad choice, so to speak. Okay, last rotate down was 38. We extend the range up from 40. So for the overnight session, buying this 40 area plus or minus makes some sense. And then we're back to 35, 37, which was resistance, and now it's support. So as long as this market stays above 35, 37, it can trade higher. So we're going to sell 40 failure to take out 45, 47 in the overnight, and 50 plus or minus, a round number. Don't really like the sell side as much as I do the long. 40 plus or minus on the buy side, then 35 to 37 for our buy number 2. Okay, the knob spread has been in. It's been out today. It closed stronger than it opened this morning. The statement from the Fed was really kind of good for both markets. She said inflation was benign and under control. Yes, we get spikes, but it's not going to go anywhere. Famous last, unless you have to buy food or buy energy. And you know, at one level, you got to feel sorry for the Fed because they're doing their damnedest to keep this thing going, and it is a house of cards afloat. And then the administration cannot wait to impose another rule, another regulation, another law, higher taxes on somebody. And it's self-defeating if economic growth is really what you want, and the administration knows it. They know what makes an economy grow. So we're off the lows right here, but I think we're going to have a little harder, make a more difficult case of breaking the note and the bond out to the upside. So we almost have an outside day right here. So we've got pretty good resistance at 16 to 20. 15 was the high during the day session. So we can be sellers up above, or we can be buyers beneath based on our setup. So I've got I'm probably leaning towards the sell side a little bit. That'll be confirmed in the overnight. Part of it's the strength in the E-mini. Looking at the F2 screen. Imagine yourself over at the Fed having to put up with the EPA and now the Department of Patents. I mean, this thing that they're doing to the Washington Redskins, it's the taking of property without due process. And that's one of the cornerstones or bedrock foundations. A government can't come into your house. A government can't take property away from you without just compensation and due process, because the colonials got tired of all of a sudden having to put up British soldiers overnight or for the week or for the month and having property confiscated. Property rights are key to the safety and foundation of a society. And what the Bureau of Patents did today, I mean, is anything safe out there with this crew in Washington? I mean, other than being a member of the crew? Yeah, where's my crew? I mean, it's not a comfortable situation to be in, and when people see what the Patent Department did today, it can't make you optimistic about business in the United States. So we've rejected prices above 13, so selling failure to take out 12 to 16 is an easy trade. Then 19 to 23. And I'm more comfortable getting short this contract than I am the E-mini. On the buy side, K wrapped, so the M period came back to 5.5. So we're first little band of support is in this 4 area down to the buck. Second band of support is 24 to 28. So we'll make, for the overnight session only, 1 to 5, buy 1. And then buy 2 will be 25 to 29. But, you know, it's just really, really hard to, if you're at the Fed, to cover and make amends for everything that's being done. And the bureaucrats at every level, and then especially from the top of the EPA and out of the White House, their tax policy, etc. It's just not good for business. You know, for years, all of us have listened to neighbors or friends rail about, and it's been successfully propagandized by the government, and it's not just this administration, it's gone on for a long period of time, and the labor unions, is that greedy corporations are driving jobs or taking jobs offshore so they can make more money. I would say they're taking jobs offshore so they can keep their damn doors open in the hopes of making some money, given what's gone on. It comes out of Washington, D.C. and some states. California is probably worse than Washington, D.C. But energy costs are going up. That's the second largest input into an economy. Food across the board is going up, part of it because of nature, Mother Nature. Drought, the other because of our ethanol policy, a big part to do of it, and the other one, increased energy costs. So it's a tough deal. Okay, 136 basically is resistance, so we're going to sell failure to take out 28 to the buck. And then we're going to sell 3 to 7. Last rotate down was 19. We're at 24. I think we can do a little better, so let's try for 13 to 17, maybe a little weakness in the knob. If we could get it to come in about 3:30 seconds, we got a chance of executing in that area, then 5 to 9. But I mean, if you're a manufacturer in the United States, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket surgeon to figure out that if it suits your type of business and the rest of it, you know, locating in Mexico to get away from the regulatory agencies makes some sense. Just easier to do business. Locating in Canada, as bad as their labor is. I mean, if you think our unions are bad news, up in Canada they're even worse. But the union's probably easier to deal with than OSHA or the EPA or some of the other regulatory agencies. Okay, taking a look at gold. I think we're back to where we were on gold. I think that what's lacking on the buy side is institutional participation in the physical or the metal. I think the retail accounts and large central governments are buyers of gold. I think the hedge fund side of the market has disappeared. I think large institutions, unless you're a gold fund, have disappeared from it. So it's the retail account and governments. And, you know, it's the action by governments to take us higher, too. So when we take a look at this market, we've rejected prices above 82. This could have been the trade of the century. So you were right where we were. We've got a 75, 77, sell 1. 79, 81, sell 2. On the buy side, we like the 65, 67, so we'll make it 68 to 70. Let them get stops below 70, and then we'll make it 63 to 65. I can't see that the Fed has strengthened the case for gold or weakened it. It's just pretty much where we were when we started out this morning. And crude, the reports coming out of Iraq is that the large refinery is still contested. It has not been destroyed, although there's a real big fire there that has to be contained and put out. That's a crown jewel. Both sides will fight over it. But, you know, when I sit back and I look at insurgency warfare, and I was able in a support way to participate in those wars in South America, Africa, Southwest Asia, and Southeast Asia. This Sunni army that is poured out of Syria would be pretty easy to take down if you had an organized military that had some discipline and some sense of order, where your leaders would actually be out there with you. And all these armies outside of the Anglo world, the 5 colonies from England, they're top-down commands. So if your leadership leaves, your individual units and individual soldiers are very ineffective. And the reports out of Mosul and other places where the leadership was getting out of Dodge as fast as they could, so to speak. But if they were to organize that, and if you had a pretty good, well-trained unit to be at the tip of the spear, you could push these people back. So you have, I think, 30% plus of Iraq is Sunni, maybe 65% Shia, and other ones, give or take. You could go back and take back this territory. When you read the headlines, you know, Baghdad is surrounded on 3 sides, but are they really? And my guess is probably not. The other side of it is that you're not going to, with that many Sunnis compared to Shias, they are smaller, and they're not going to take over Baghdad, and they're not going to run over the capital city quickly nor easily. So you could go back, if you were the central government of Baghdad, if you had one crack unit to lead 3 spears up, you could go back and take back those 3 cities pretty quickly. But the leadership, etc., is definitely in question. Cell 1, 106 to 106.25. Cell 2, 650 to 675. It's really a 107 plus 105 minus, maybe 105.50 minus market. 25 to 50 by 1. And then right against 105 by 2. But if the leadership in Iraq was interested in more than feathering their nests, it wouldn't be hard to beat these people back and do it pretty quickly, militarily speaking now. But if these guys are interested only in bigger bank accounts, then it won't happen. So that remains to be seen. My guess is right now that Iran will be the tip of the spear, and they're not going to let the chance to rule Iraq through a proxy, and they almost had it before, slip through their fingers. Okay, the euro made it up to 136. That was the area that we said we really liked to sell. We saw it as a 135 minus 136 plus market. So we made it up to 136. The dollar got hammered this afternoon. Not initially. The first reaction in the euro was lower. So I'm not saying the market is schizophrenic, but they do go from long to short quickly and often. So it's a trading range. My guess is we've got to sell in that 36 area, plus or minus. So we'll make that sell 1. Then 20 to 30 will make sell 2. I can't see that this has changed anything. We're at 89 right now, so we'll make 50 to 60 for the overnight session, buy 1. I do like the short side better than this, especially because we're at the top of close to resistance, and buy 2 will make 20 to 30. Okay, I'll get this up and posted as fast as I can. We've had another good day of trading, even with the less volatility brought in by the FOMC announcement this afternoon. We were able to do just fine. Trade set up nicely. Our patterns worked. You can't ask for better than that. See y'all bright and early in the morning, 6:45 Central. Y'all have a great evening.